You need a plan to stay cool when it's hot outside and the AC won't turn on. No, it's not your imagination. Summertime blackouts have become more common lately. In the USA, we've seen about 60% more hot weather outages in this decade compared to past decades. The CDC has also reported a spike in visits to the ER for heat-related illnesses and even deaths. Why are these summertime outages increasing? Combine rising temperatures, spiking power demand, and aging infrastructure. And you get the predictable result of losing power and AC exactly when you need them the most. I've personally been through a week-long power outage when temperatures topped 100 degrees. I'm not looking forward to next time, but as my dad always said, I don't worry, I plan. In this video, I'll let you know which cooling strategies work for my family and how I'd like to upgrade in the future. If you're busy disaster planning for future emergencies or already sweating through a heatwave blackout right now, stick with me for some cooling relief. Many do-it-yourself options use things you probably already have at home. Others require a bit of an investment but could prove invaluable. Your health and safety and your family's could depend upon it. If you lost power, do you still have ice in a camping fan? This do-it-yourself ice blower works so well that it was even highlighted in Good Housekeeping and other publications. You can make one yourself in a few minutes. Hopefully, you manage to freeze plenty of ice. Even bottles of frozen water work pretty well. Also, you should include a basic camping fan in your emergency stash. These fans often take a charge, can run on batteries, and you should keep at least one ready to go. Fill your empty milk jugs or water bottles to about 75% of capacity to allow for water expansion. Set a frozen bottle in a shallow pan to catch condensation and melt. Have the fan blow through the bottle to help cool the air. This actually works, but you may need to adjust the design. For instance, you can drape a thin cloth over the bottle if humidity is a problem. Some people prefer to punch holes in a cheap styrofoam cooler and store the ice inside. Of course, you will want to put the ice in a bag or freeze it in bottles to keep the melt from leaking through the holes. Are you out of ice but still have a fan? Even with a closed freezer or high-quality cooler, you can't expect ice to last more than a couple of days. You can still try evaporative cooling. Simply wet a cloth and drape it over the fan. This solution may not work perfectly if you're also coping with high humidity. You can also buy misting fans and evaporative coolers. I relied on a misting fan during one blackout, and even though my area is pretty humid, the cooled air gave us some relief. Otherwise, when you're using a fan, remember how it works. It only cools off people in the path of the fan. Be sure to shut off the fan when everybody leaves the room to conserve precious batteries and charges. How can you stay cool and comfortable when you're out of ice and fans? I'll say one thing. Power outages during weather events, whether hot or cold, always reveal gaps in our disaster plans. I've run out of ice before the stores restocked, and sometimes before it was even safe to travel to the store. Here's the good news. You can still use some simple, sensible strategies to keep you and your family from overheating and suffering a heat-related emergency. You can try evaporative cooling with terracotta pots. In some parts of the world, people rely on entire walls of terracotta to stay cool during the hottest months. If you have one, or even better, two terracotta pots, you can use water to make a simple, do-it-yourself evaporative cooler. I plan to post instructions for that, but they're easy to find online if you want to look right away. You may see these referred to as zeer pots in some sources. Stay hydrated, store water. Hopefully, you still have running water, but that's not something you can count on during a power failure. That brings me to disaster prep priority number 1. You should always prepare for emergencies by storing drinking water. At the very least, store a gallon of water per person per day. I agree that's a lot of water, but you can reuse clean gallon jugs, and if you have a family, you might want to invest in 5 to 10 gallon containers. Remember that you'll need to use water for everything: drinking, hygiene, food preparation, and so on. If you have advance warning, you will probably also want to fill up the bathtub, since without water pressure, you won't be able to flush the toilet and will need to use buckets. Also remember, if you feel thirsty, that means you're already getting dehydrated. Ideally, you should store enough water so you never get to that point. That's especially true for younger children, older people, and those with health conditions. They don't always notice dehydration the same way, so you'll have to ensure they drink enough. Try to create ventilation without letting in too much sunlight. Now's the time to choose the best strategy for your home. You can create cross-ventilation by opening up opposite windows. This works very well, and no doubt your grandma relied on similar tactics back in the days before everyone had air conditioning. At the same time, you want to limit sunlight streaming through windows because that will definitely create hot spots. In these cases, close curtains or hang blankets to keep the room as shaded as possible. Do you still have time to prepare for a summertime heat emergency? Ideally, you won't face a grid-down heat emergency unprepared. At a minimum, try to start with plenty of water and a freezer or cooler stashed with ice. Beyond the basics, you may want to add a few extras to your emergency box. Your choices will depend on personal preferences and budget. Don't worry. Some of these options cost very little and help a lot. Fans make an immense difference during a heat wave. Your old box fan might not help if you can't plug it in. The cheapest solution is to invest in camping fans or even those little handheld misting fans. Frankly, I have both, and enough for every family member to have their own. Ideally, we set up a cool room where everyone gathers, but sometimes people need a little privacy. My latest camping fan even has a solar panel to recharge it, which is nice. You can find a decent camping fan that runs on batteries or takes a charge for around $30. You can also buy a pack of small misting fans for about $15, and they work great for what they are. Don't forget backup power. If you plan to rely on batteries, stock up. It also helps to buy devices that use the same size batteries so you can simplify purchase. It's also cheaper to buy a larger box of batteries of one size than to buy smaller packs of various sizes. If you have a little more money to spend, you will never regret getting a solar power station. With enough capacity, you can even use rechargeable batteries, though I like keeping spares in case something goes wrong with my other plans. I've already published a short buying guide to help you choose the best size of power station. I hope you look for that video after you finish here, because many people found it helpful. You can also buy portable blackout curtains that you can move around your home as the sunlight shifts during different parts of the day. If you lack those, you can always tape sheets, pillowcases, or even dark garbage bags over your window. I'll leave you with a couple of extra tips that have helped my family and others. If you have a car with plenty of gas, you can use the vehicle's AC as a temporary cooling station. You will want to conserve fuel during a blackout in case you need to evacuate or run errands, but it is there if you need it. Research community cooling centers before an emergency. Typically, radio stations and community websites will list these services so you can find out even after the power goes out. Reach out to your neighborhood too. Hopefully you can connect with neighbors and talk about ways to prepare for a heat wave. During a crisis, you can help each other out. How have you planned for a summertime blackout? On that topic, I'd like to read about your blackout emergency experiences and coping strategies. Leave a comment to help strengthen our online community. And if you are feeling generous, I'd appreciate it if you liked and subscribed.